Sony a6000 versus Panasonic G7. Two great cameras, and they are cheap enough. So let's discuss a little bit about it. Hello everybody, my name is Attila Mate from Blue Sky Photography, and today I'd like to talk to you about two great cameras. And these cameras are the Sony a6000 and the Panasonic G7. Now, which one would you buy? Which one would you prefer, one over the other? I would like to share with you my opinion, because I used to be a Sony a6000 user for a pretty long time, and I would say that I know the camera inside out, and every good point and every bad point of the camera, every advantage and every disadvantage of the camera. Now, I didn't own the Panasonic G7, but I have a friend who owned one of it, and I did have in my hand, and I did try, and I have to say that the Panasonic G7 is one of the greatest mirrorless cameras ever designed, I would say, because it's small, it's lightweight, and it's very, very comfortable in the hand. And the button layout and everything, it's very comfortable, especially if you come from a DSLR background. Because that is like a miniature DSLR, it's a small DSLR. So I like it very much. It might be only me, that's only my opinion, but I like it very much. So let's discuss a little bit the similarities, advantages, disadvantages, these kind of things, Now, first of all, we have to know that both of the cameras are very, very capable cameras. So either if you shoot portraits, or if you shoot landscapes, or if you shoot any other photography in general, both of the cameras are very capable and great cameras. Now, the Panasonic G7 is at the moment in US, it's $498 with kit lens. Now, that kit lens is not so good, it's not excellent, but it's not bad at all. I mean, for the if you buy the camera, you will use that kit lens, I can tell you. And it's $498. It's a pretty good price. I mean, okay, the kit lens has plastic mount and these kind of things, but that doesn't matter. You will buy anyway, other glass, better glass for your camera, I'm pretty sure. If you think seriously in photography, you will have to know that you have to invest more in lenses than in bodies, because bodies will come and go, but lenses will stay. So the G7 is $498 with kit lens. Sony a6000, it's $548 with kit lens. Now, $548, well, we can say that it's $50 difference, between the two cameras, and that's not a big issue. I mean, that's nothing. So, but the Sony's kit lens, I I have to tell you, I was amazed about that kit lens. It is very, very good. It's not a fast lens. It's actually I think 3.5 to 5.6, something like that. But it's very good image quality. I mean, it's surprisingly good image quality for a kit lens. Now, there are a lot of similarities between the two cameras, like 1/4000th of a second shutter speed, 1/160th of a second flash sync speed, single SD card slot, and there are these kind of similarities, in between the two cameras. And this is one of the reasons why I don't really say that the Panasonic G7 or the Sony a6000 are professional level cameras, because I had some issues with the a6000 in this manner, and I have a video about this, and you can have a look in my channel and search around and you will find it, I don't want to talk about that because it will be too long. But this is one of the reasons, why I wouldn't say that they are professional level cameras, if we can say that a camera is a professional level. But anyway, it's not as good as professionally built cameras, Anyway, now what are the differences between the cameras? Now, the biggest difference is that the sensors, the Sony a6000 is a APS-C size sensor, and the Panasonic G7 is a micro four thirds sensor. Now Sony a6000 is a 24 megapixel sensor, the Panasonic it's a 16 megapixel sensor. Now we have to understand here something, that the sensor size is different, but the pixel per inch is the same. Because a 24 megapixel APS-C size sensor, if you crop it down to micro four thirds size, the pixel per inch, how many pixels are in an inch, let's say, it will be the same. The number will be the same. So they are kind of, we can say that they are kind of the same level on image quality. Because pixel per inch will determine a lot how is the image quality. The more pixel per inch are in a camera, you know, image quality will be very good, you know, and that will increase the image quality. That's why a 24 megapixel APS-C size sensor is capable to hold up an image quality on a 24 megapixel full frame sensor. And if somebody deny that, it's not true. I tell you, because I own 24 megapixel APS-C and 24 megapixel full frame. And it's no difference at all. And even I used to own the Sony A7R, the 36 megapixel full frame camera, and I have to tell you that the 24 megapixel APS-C has approximately the same pixel per inch like a 36 megapixel full frame. So the pictures between the 24 megapixel and the 36 megapixel full frame, it will be, if you crop it down, you know, it will be close enough. So the pixel per inch are the same. Let's not go on the side part, you know. So the pixel per inch are the same in the two sensors. The megapixel is different. Obviously, if you would like to print in bigger sizes, you know, your photos, then the 24 megapixel, it's an advantage for you. If you print only in, let's say, 18 by 10 or 18 by 12 or something like that, you know, 20 by 14, something like that, 16 megapixel is more than enough. The truth is that if you shoot in 16 megapixel, you don't have the freedom to crop a lot, you know, after that. So you have to be careful to compose your images in such a manner that you don't have to crop, sorry. So now another difference, Sony has great autofocus, and when I mean great autofocus, I really mean it. I mean Panasonic, it's not really close to it, you know, especially in video. Now in photo, maybe you won't notice a very big difference between. There is a little bit of difference, but not too much, sorry. In tracking, Sony is better definitely than Panasonic. But in video mode, it's just, Sony just excellent. I mean, it's very, very good. There's no, I cannot say anything bad about the Sony's autofocus in video. I mean, face tracking and everything is working perfectly. I wish that many other manufacturers would introduce the same kind of autofocus in video mode like Sony. Now, a lot of Sony fanboys were very angry on me because I used to hammer Sony, you know, but now in this video I praise Sony. Like I told you, I'm not that type of guy, you know, who is only hammering some. I will say what is bad, I will say what is good, you know, that's the truth. I mean, Sony is very good in this territory, you know. So it has great autofocus. Now, on the other hand, Panasonic has bigger lens selection, and this is, sometimes it can be a deal breaker. And with me, it was a deal breaker. It was one of the main reasons, you know, that I left, because of lens selection. Anyway, now that's only me. So if you are happy with the lenses, what you can get from Sony, so be it. It's a great camera, I told you, but Panasonic has bigger and larger lens selection, let's say. Again, Sony has 11 frames per second. Panasonic has 8 frames per second continuous shooting. Now, but Panasonic has in electronic shutter mode, it has up to 30 frames or 40 frames per second. And that's in electronic shutter, because Sony has a 1/4000th of a second mechanical shutter. But Panasonic has 1/4000th of a second mechanical shutter and 1/16,000th of a second electronic shutter. So Panasonic has a big advantage over there. You know, that's because you can, okay, you cannot use the electronic shutter when you are, you have some moving subjects, you know, like moving cars or something like that, you know, because then it might be the rolling shutter issue. But I wouldn't say that you face that issue a lot of times, you know. I mean, it's I would say the electronic shutter is pretty good. I mean, you can use it good enough, no problem. Now, again, battery life on Panasonic is a bit better, but I would say you cannot really go on specifications list, you know, because it's, you know, only if real life you try, you know, the camera and the battery life. Now I have to tell you that the Sony batteries, they are very bad. Very, very bad. I mean, I used to have like 7-8 batteries, I tell you, and I was just changing like all the time, and I had some trouble, you know, now which is the empty and which is the fully charged, and now which pocket I have, and oh man, it's a big issue, I tell you. I ended up at the end I ended up, you know, to color code my batteries, you know, to be easier to it's an issue with the Sony cameras. If you don't mind doing it, it's okay, but if you mind changing the batteries and this, you will have to change a lot with Sony. So Panasonic looks a little bit better on the battery. Low light performance. Now I have to give this to Sony, and I tell you why. I did a comparison video between the Nikon D7200 and the Sony a6000, both 24 megapixel sensors. The only difference is that Nikon D7200 has no anti-aliasing filter and Sony has anti-aliasing filter. Now I was surprised when the Sony a6000 bet the Nikon D7200 in low light performance. I was very surprised. But I have to tell you that the difference was one full stop. Now, here is, it can be two issues. One, the manufacturers, the camera manufacturers, they sometimes trick a little bit, you know, cheat a little bit, let's say with the ISO, and they will say, well, yeah, this camera can do usable shots until 4000 ISO, but actually that 4000 is not 4000. And that's the case with Nikon D7200. They say that, well, it's until 4000 ISO and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but why not if I put a 50mm f1.8 lens on a Sony a6000, 50mm 1.8 lens on the Nikon D7200, and interestingly, both lenses, the t-stop value is the same, because you have to know that if a lens, you measure, you know, a lens, well, how much light can get in the lens, the t-stop value is much important than the f-stop value. Now this is very long to explain what is t-stop, and it's, if you can search around and find out, but the t-stop value of both of the lenses were the same when I tested. So it means that the lens is no difference. And even the Nikon D7200 was lower on a full stop than Sony. So pictures were brighter at the Sony, you know, in the same settings, everything was the same. And then one of my viewer commented and he said, yes, but you should have done with the same lens and the same, because then you are absolutely sure. And I said, grand, no problem. So I redid the test with the same lens. I just put a manual Samyang lens at both of the cameras. I did the pictures, same story. So definitely Sony a6000 has a one-stop, almost one-stop advantage over the Nikon D7200. So low light performance here between the Panasonic G7 and Sony a6000, that's not even a question. So Sony a6000 is better. If you need a low light camera, if you need a bigger sensor, you want to print bigger, or if you need very, very good autofocus, you know, Sony a6000 is the way to go. It's no question. Cheap camera, I mean $500, you know, it's like, it's very good price, you know, very, very good price. On the other hand, if you want 4K video recording, you know, and if you are more likely in the video, you know, and then Panasonic G7, you know, it's, but even with Panasonic G7, you can't go wrong, you know, in the photography as well. But if you are more in photography and less in video, I would suggest to buy the Sony a6000. If you are more in video and less in photography, or let's say equal, you know, I would say to buy the Panasonic G7. But guys, it's up to you. At the end of the day, it's your money, it's your decision. This is only my opinion. So I would like to help others to to figure out how to make the right decision, you know, because I used to be in this situation as well. I used to I couldn't decide, you know, I mean, which one to take and which one, and I couldn't really find, you know, videos on YouTube where they explain, you know, that what's the difference, what is this, what is that, because mostly they just want to sell the product, you know, and it's more, it looks like to me that they only praise, but they don't say any negative, you know, about the what's the drawback, you know, what you have to pay, you know, because there is always, you know, a sacrifice. You always have to sacrifice something. You can't really find a camera which is everything is perfect in it, you know. So I hope you like this video. If you like it, please like and subscribe, and share my videos. And other than that, I wish you a nice day, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys.